The following is a presentation of the iRacing eSports Network.
The term hat trick first came from the sport of cricket, but time has made it the vernacular in many different activities and games, including here in the motorsports world. The latest to manage a three-peat, Carl Modoff. But the dominant driver has himself pointed out that he doesn't have a great history here at Sebring. With a target on his back and the daunting bumpy surface ready to ruin anybody's race, we may yet see his winning streak end today. We'll find out which way the worm turns as we get ready to watch round 4 of the Precision Racing League's American iRacing Tuesday series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel and the iRacing eSports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Taylor Burris. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Taylor, Sebring and sports cars is like peanut butter and jelly. I'm glad this track is on the schedule again this season.
Yes, indeed. I'm looking forward to coming back to my home state of Florida to the beautiful Sebring International Raceway. Located in Sebring, Florida, and opened in 1950, this is by far one of the specialist tracks as far as motor racing from around the world, especially with the events such as the 12 Hours of Sebring and soon the 1,000-kilometer race that they'll be holding later on this year. To give you the fantasy what it is like to take on the twists and turns of Sebring, let's go on board for a GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC 4GT, so let's do a lap around Sebring. Coming down the front stretch, the first corner is going to give you a really good idea of just how bumpy this track is. And this car can be a little shaky on entry into these fast corners, so expect any passing moves to be kind of hairy on both sides. Powering off this fast sweeper is important because now we approach turn 3, which is a popular place for overtakes. You can grab a lot of curb on the inside, but don't get too greedy because you can still knock the car loose on them. The racing line tends to reward a late apex here in 5 with how the curve tightens, but this is another place where it pays to be on the power early and with confidence. Big Bend is flat out, so this whole run acts as one long straight down to the hairpin. A lot of overtakes are going to happen with the heavy braking into this sharp right-hander, but it's also very easy to overcook your entry. Watch out for how the track weaves back and forth on the exit, and then try your best to straighten out 8 and 9. There's no lifting, it's all about just minimizing your steering inputs. But hold to the left because coming up is the braking for Cunningham. This is another place where you can expect a lot of passes, but it's also another place where the curb to the inside is a bit tall and can be nasty depending on how hard you hit it. Same with the run here through Collier. Don't get greedy on those curbs because the Armco is right there to collect you. The braking for Tower requires you to flirt with the edge of the track, and sometimes you'll see cars spin off when they dip a wheel into the dirt. A lot of dust and gunk is going to get dragged onto the track when drivers go wide in the exit as well. Bishop is flat out, so just try to round out these 2 apexes and then hold the car off to the left for the best line into Jean Debienne. It's important to keep on the racing line through here so that you can set up wide for Le Mans. This is perhaps the most critical corner on the track because it dumps you onto the Ullman Straight, which is the longest acceleration zone of the circuit. Even if you get a good exit, your competitors might be able to grab onto your slipstream and get a run towards sunset. but I wouldn't recommend trying to go through here too wide. It's incredibly bumpy, and the curved braking makes the car very unsteady. Square off this exit so that you can really put the power down. Be careful not to drift into the grass on the left, and then, as you cross the line, you've now finished a lap around Sebring.
There you see a lap around Sebring when you could see more of the track. Obviously, nighttime here for this round today in round 4. And, well, if you want to get good at racing difficult combinations like this, you could maybe look into SIMMSA. They are the sponsor this season once again. Simulation MotorSports Association is a sim racing platform created by experienced racers. Established in 2015, the association is bringing together organizations and communities to further promote sim racing globally. Concentrating on all sims worldwide, they offer a focused opportunity for sim racers to compete with each other, and they also provide consultancy services to this growing eSports world. SIMMSA offers solutions for racing simulator requirements, custom-built simulator parts, complete customization, and upgrading of existing simulators. You can find them at SIMMSA.net. All right, so we have a championship to talk about, and, well, it's still pretty simple because, as we said, all 3 rounds so far have been Carl Modov's playground, basically. Federico Montini, with his consistency, has moved himself up into second, had a much better race last time, but still a whole 29 points back, you can see, from Carl Modov. His brother, Francisco, as well jumps 3 positions up with a good finish, and then Christian Eisler finally got himself a good one, jumping up 5 spots into 4th. Simon Avatar, with that, all that, is the only one in the top 5 that has been demoted down into 5th. Still in a close fight between Francisco, Christian, and himself, of course. Let's take a look at the team's championship as well. SDS Racing Team currently still at the top of this thing, with both the Montini brothers leading the way there. Of course, Rick Motek, Ether Sim Sport, with Griffith doing incredibly good so far this season. He helps them jump up there to 2nd place. That demotes Team Bushfink Racing, Ott and Eisler. Ott had a horrible race last time. That's part of why you see them falling down the order. Eisler, the reverse, of course, helping them not lose too much. Still in a close fight for 2nd there with Rick Motek Ether. Speedworks is in 4th, and of course the Andes Team Condor, we haven't seen a whole lot of on this channel, or at least on this series this season, is currently sitting in 5th position. Now, if you've never watched one of these races before, here's what we've got in store for round 4 here today. Of course, they have a drop week available to them. They have a short season this season just because they wanted a little bit of a break over the holidays. They have 4 makes of cars. These are all GTE cars, basically the spec that they're running. It's the Porsche, the Ferrari, and the Ford GT. The race distance is 45 minutes, which is their sprint race format. That means you can expect 1 pit stop for fuel. That's because they've restricted the fuel compared to what the real cars can use. The setups are open, though, so the drivers can tweak them to their liking. And they do have an incident limit. You saw there at 24. They can get disqualified if they go over that 24 incident limit. They also don't have a spare car. So drivers will have to keep it safe and try to avoid any sort of damage on a track like this where top speed will be critical. Of course, we're watching qualifying, and we'll go over that in a second. But before we give you an update on that, we want to mention that if you enjoy this, make sure that you subscribe to the iRacing eSports Network. Not only can you find the PRL Tuesday and Thursday series on it, but you can find the World Championship Series as well. Here on GSRC, we have 2 of the Vintage Series that is official on iRacing, the Lotus 49 and the Camel GT cars. That's a lot of fun to watch those. Definitely encourage you to hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a moment. Taking a look at where the qualifying sits right now, it is Carl Modov up at the top once again, so no big surprises there. Driver that's been coming to the fore, though, is Jorge Flores. He's sitting in 2nd, and Christian Eisler is currently in 3rd, which is where he qualified last round at Watkins Glen. There you see Flores riding in the black, green, and white machine. He's currently about 3/10 behind Modoff. That's a decent gap, but it is a long lap, so not too shocking at a place such as Sebring, where they're looking at nearly 2 minutes long just to get around this circuit. As we take a look at Modoff, coming around the final corner here in a second, Sunset Bend, this is going to be one of those places you really want to watch over the course of the race. Incredibly bumpy around here. Relatively high speed for what I guess is effectively a hairpin. Drivers really need to carry it off because you can see it takes you back onto the front stretch, another area where the cars are high speed, and as Modoff goes across, that lap does not count for him, so it does not improve on that 54.9. Let's go back to fourth place, though. That's another driver about to finish his lap. That's Mike Griffith. Now, I mentioned Mike has been really impressing us with his speed and consistency. He had it once again at Watkins Glen, where I believe he finished with a 5th there. I'd have to double check my stats on that. Let's see, as he comes around, currently has a 1:55.5 as his fastest lap. That one appears he must have had an off track somewhere, because it also does not count for the Pennsylvania driver. Just about 3 minutes left, so getting very close to the point at which drivers are going to hit their last lap with the long lap times around here. It has been a very consistent season for the likes of Modoff, but not for the likes of Corey Ott. Now, actually, where is Corey qualified right now? And I don't even see him here. So it looks like Corey's missing today, which is certainly not going to help his points at all. He had a bad start last race at Watkins Glen, where he honestly didn't have the initial incident be due to him. He got shoved off right after the green flag, had to avoid the wall, was down the order, and then spun out later when he hit the wall coming out of the chute. And then he also made some mistakes that cost him positions during his pit stop at Barber Motorsports Park. So despite having speed in the first round, Corey Ott, who looked like a major player, really has to clean things up. This is Christian Eisler, who's been in the hunt for the championship a number of times. He's going to finish another lap. He sits in 3rd in qualifying. And as he crosses the line, he improves on his lap time, but does not improve his position. A 55.2 now on the board for him. He still has 3/10 to make up to get to Karl Modoff, but only 6/100ths to beat Flores. And I think he's going to have enough time to start another lap, but just barely. This is Flores that we're looking at on screen. Also coming around to complete the lap as he works his way through Jean Debian and then Le Mans. He'll actually be followed by Mike Griffith. Griffith sitting in 6th right now. I think he got bumped down by Leif Peterson and Simon Avital while we weren't looking. This is the fastest part of the track, and looks like Flores ducking to the... Flores is ducking to the inside to let Mike go, actually. So Mike will finish this lap first, and apparently Flores trying to set himself up for one last run, because this is going to be it for both he and Mike if they want to take another one. Mike crosses the line, and this lap also did not count. Oof. It's only 2 timed laps have counted for the number 117. That is not a good start for him. So we pick up Fernando Borda, currently sitting in 13th. He'll to finish his lap. Another driver who has only got 2 timed laps in. He's got a 56.5 as his fastest. Up and around Sunset Bend. Takes it all the way up to the grass and across the line. Let's see if this one's an improvement. A 56 flat. That'll bump him within the top 10 up to 9th. A nice job by Fernando. Okay, here comes Karl Modoff. And it looks like that is as far as he's going to go in qualifying. He feels pretty safe with those 3/10. Christian Eisler, though, coming around. Again, only 6/100ths to get to Jorge Flores, who has also finished his qualifying, so he's not going to do any better. Eisler crosses the line, and that one does not count, but he's got one final lap to try and improve in that Ferrari. checkered flag now comes out. So who is finishing their laps? Bautista looks to be the first one, and that one's not going to count because that was a big off track in the final corner. He knows it. He pulls off to the side. I think Mike Griffith going to be the next one through. No, it's Cristobal Valenzuela, it looks like, there for the Andes team. So the number 333 car has not got a time in. This is going to be important. He puts one on the board, and that puts him 17th. What about Mike Griffith? Last chance to try to do better than 6. A 55.6 is not faster, about a 10th off his best. That is going to be disappointing for Mike. A little bit lower than I think he would have expected. Who else do we have finishing up? Corey Clark going to be the next one across the line. That lap does not count for him. James LeBlond from 15th with a 56.8 as his fastest. A 57.1 is not going to do it for him. Rodrigo Munoz going to be another one that gets an extra lap. Who was that behind him going off? It was Jean-Marc Tremblay. Not sure that he went completely off, as you do have some curb there, but we'll find out soon enough. Porsche works its way around Sunset Bend down to the line. His fastest is a 57.3. He sits in 18th position. Munoz, not faster. That lap does not count for him. Tremblay going to abandon his lap. Christian Eisler, this is the one we wanted to see. He is going to finish his lap. 55.2, the fastest one he's got down right now, and as he crosses, it's another 55.2, but it is just about 2/100ths slower. That's going to be it for qualifying. So with that, we are going to go through our starting grid here for round 4 in the American iRacing Tuesday series at Sebring International Raceway. Carl Modoff will start on the pole once again. That's another bonus point for him. Jorge Flores will be next to him in second place. It almost looks like it might be a matter of time before Flores gets a chance to win. Christian Eisler will be P3. And then, of course, Simon Avital completes the second row in fourth. Leif Peterson. We got to give Leif quite a bit of credit because he seems to have found a bunch of speed in this series. He'll be starting from 5th. And then Mike Griffith will be P6. 7th place will be Sebastian Maciera, starting 7th place with Jean-Marc Tremblay in P8. Fernando Borda starts 9th. Lee Lucas will round out our top 10. Mr. Consistency will be behind him in row 6. Aaron Thacker starts 11th. Francisco Montini starts from 12th. And then Tyler DeZube starts in P13. Jerome Bertome starts in P14. And James LeBlanc starts 15th position. Michael Derby, P16 for him, with Cristobal Valenzuela starting 17th. Rodrigo Munoz, he'll be P18 at the drop of the green. Takeshi Kita, his qualifying looks pretty good this week, honestly, for him. 19th position. We'll see if he can move up from there. Then you've got Corey Clark rounding out row 10 in the 20th spot. After that, it's Elijah Bautista starting 21st. Danny Duchesne will be P22, and then Karsten Quint starts 23rd. Hugo Galaz, 24th for him today. Joey Trongale in P25. Thomas Ellison starts in 26th, and Jeff Jacobson 27th. Luis Morga 28th. The last 3 of those cars did not get a lap time in, unfortunately. So we have a 45-minute race on our hands, and we're waiting for the last of the cars to grid up. You can see the difference in brightness as they sit on the lights of the front row, or of the front stretch, rather, and then they will disappear into the blackness with only their headlights lighting the way. And just Jeff Jacobson, Luis Morga, the last of the 2 that we're waiting on to get out here. Doing a full pace lap around here. Look forward to the day that iRacing updates a few of the tracks to start not with a full pace lap, especially some of these longer ones. Doesn't really need to go the full way around here. as the pace car finally starts to take off. This corner one of the other bumpy ones around here. And another very fast one, much like Sunset Bend. I mentioned it in the pre-race. Karl Modoff, last time he was here, lost the championship. Jesper Derlicka managed to beat him, and Karl, of course, was pretty disappointed with that. So, as they work their way through 5 and 6, and then they get to one of the longer straights here, as they come to one of the popular passing spots at the end of this into the hairpin. So as they now go through another flash of light, this should give you a much better idea of exactly what they're dealing with around here. I love that shot right there, going from the light down into the deep black of the night. It is just almost 10:30 p.m. virtual standard time here, so they won't quite reach midnight in the race. As they work their way around down towards Cunningham, another one of those spots where you can expect drivers to attempt to make passes out here today, but then if they're still side by side, this is the one I always keep an eye on as the race progresses. Collier, very narrow through here, can be quite bumpy. The curbs can mess up the car, and there's no runoff. You can see the arm code on either side of the track. And of course, then they come out of there into Tower, and out of Tower it takes you into the fast sweeper of Jean Debienne. Now for the second race in a row, I'm starting to see Karl Modoff back off of the pace car quite a bit. There was some contention on that, but I don't believe there was any penalties for it, so I guess they ruled it legal. So I suppose they are going to allow him to get this sort of early start. Not quite early start, but he gives some room to really gun it and have speed up by the time they come around the final corner down the front stretch. Now, the big question is, Flores was up towards the front last time. Does he remember that? And will he be wary of that and really know to watch out for the games that it seems Modoff likes to play? This is the Ullman Straight. Down towards Sunset Bend, one of the trickier braking zones this corner. A very fast kink, heavy braking, and I mentioned the bumps around here. That'll rattle a number of cars loose, and we'll probably see some spins. But right now, everybody taking the green flag here at Sebring for round 4 with Karl Modoff getting a jump anyways over Jorge Flores, who is under attack from Christian Eisler, down into turn 1. Backs out of that battle for second place, but Flores goes a little bit wide. We could see another one down into turn 3. I'm not seeing any drivers having problems out of that first corner. It's side-by-side action between Leif Peterson and Mike Griffith, who he cuts off for 5th place. Griffith falls back in line as most of the drivers now single file, one car off in the distance back there. That is Aaron Thacker out of turn 6, losing positions. Up at the front, though, a fantastic jump for the number 48 of Karl Modoff. Gets him nearly a second gap. Jorge Flores trying to give chase, and Christian Eisler stays in 3rd. Oh, and we have a car spinning. That was, looks like Fernando Borda off in turn 8. Not exactly sure what caused that, but he may have had some help. Look at that later on. We got a big accident happening in the midfield. It looks like Corey Clark involved in it. So they somehow get the cars going right where it narrows here in Collier. That could have been so much worse. So despite a little bit of franticness, we're not seeing too many cars find their day ended prematurely because Borda gets it going. So up at the front, Karl Modoff leading the way. Oh, and I think Jean-Marc Tremblay maybe had a slowdown. He's going very slow down the backstretch. Mike Griffith as well. Oh, it's a horrible start from Mike Griffith. He's falling back to 11th, already looking like even 12th as he tries to give the time back on the penalty. We come up to the front where the first lap now complete. Karl Modoff leads Flores, leads Eisler, Avital 4th, and Peterson in 5th. And seems one of the Montini brothers finds themselves in a battle. This is in the mid-pack. Francisco, not as good of a qualifying as he might be used to. The car is flashing his lights behind him. That's Takeshi Kita. Just a string of cars here in the mid-pack being led up at the front of them by Jerome Bertome. He goes a little bit wide, and that's Mike Griffith, who we know is a fast driver, giving chase. He's got a great run on him as they come around Big Bend. Looking around the outside, down towards the hairpin. He forces Jerome to go defensive. Looks for an over-under that can't quite execute. So, as they now come through towards Cunningham once again, Bertome still going defensive. Griffith still looking, but can't do anything with it. Derby's been chasing the both of them as this has been going on. Now he's got a nose in, down into Tower. Mike Griffith, comes across and gets into him as Bertome has to take the grass, gets it going, but loses about 4 or 5 places in the process. And now Mike Griffith is slowing down. A car gets tipped off into the barrier. That's Francisco Montini with another bad end. Let's take a look at what happened exactly here. This all kicked off with Modoff just barely sliding out into the likes of Jerome. Jerome tried to collect it together, and I think, it was Griffith, not Modoff. I think Griffith was trying to hand the place back, and that checked everybody up, and Griffith actually ran into the wall farther up there, you see, and that is Corey Clark as well, who finds himself hitting the wall. We're going to watch one more time here on the replay.
Yeah, as you can see the contact right there between the two cars. Unfortunate for both Mike Griffith and Corey Clark. And then Montini had difficulties as we go back up to the front with Jorge Flores trying to chase down Karl Modoff still. I tell you what, Joe, this is getting a really exciting battle right now for the front. We may see Flores maybe take this fight to Karl Modoff here tonight.
Oh, I'd love to see that. So far, nobody really has seemed to have the best pace to try and challenge him. Corey Ott looked like he could. He outqualified him at Barber, but then errors in the race gave the lead to Modoff, and Karl just scampered away with it. They are doing that same thing right now to Christian Eisler. This has been a repeat every single race where the 727 doesn't seem able to hold pace.
No, Eisler having a little bit of difficulty, still holding on to third, but still, he's got a little bit of a battle back behind him. He's got Simon Avital closing in on him, along with Leif Peterson in 5th position, about 8/10 back away from Avital. So he's got to keep his eyes focused on what's behind him a little bit as well, because that Ferrari and the Porsche of those two drivers could easily, if given the mistake, if Eisler makes it, could happen. He could lose 2 spots in less than a lap.
And looks like they're not going to be battling right this second. I think we have some time to go back to the replays at the start of the race. I think let's do Thacker's first. Let's see what exactly happened to him. Did he have some help in turn 5 here? This is coming into 3. Well, that's Danny Duchesne we're looking at. And there's Thacker's, the end of him going off there, getting back on course. Now we're going to try and see what happened to Thacker. No, I don't think there was any contact.
No contact, maybe just overshot his brake zone and went off track, but it was able to reconsider and get back onto the track. As we go back live watching him now, he's got to catch up now to Takeshi Kita, who's in front of him instead about 6/10, and has also got Jermaine Bouffier in front of him as well. So Mr. Consistency's got a little bit of work to do here tonight, Joe.
He's getting a run on him, and it looks like Thacker going to back out of it just after a poke to the inside. A train of cars up ahead. Maciata, Derby, Bertome, and Kita all ready to be passed. Take a look at Derby with Jerome behind him. Jerome makes an attempt, but decides to back out of it as they break for Cunningham. One little mistake could switch these positions up very, very quickly.
Especially in the corner like the tower corner right here that they just got off of. You could easily wash the car up into the gravel and even lose control to where you get too loose to that section and spin the car out. So you have to be so careful to that section of as they make the run down towards the Bishop Bend and flying straight. This is just so difficult, this rhythm section, to get the car right in the right apex to set the run out of Lamont and down the Ullman Straight.
All the cars picking up speed now, but nobody close enough to use that slipstream. So they're all going to stay in order. That is Maciata 10th, Derby 11th, Bertome 12th, Kita 13th, and Thacker 14th. Ooh, look at the different lines everybody's taking through Sunset Bend, though. And once again, nobody managing to find that edge over each other.
Sebring is just so difficult with trying to find that right line to set up for a passing opportunity. It may look like it's big and wide enough to make a lot of passing, especially going into turn one, but still, a lot of opportunities can be actually messed up on for these drivers if they go too wide out through those corners, because it's just so difficult and bumpy that you have to have the right setup in order to make the right passes. As we see, looks like Thacker goes off again right there.
Not his day, that is for sure. Having qualified in 11th and still sitting down in 14th. We do have that incident with Borda as well. Now, all we saw with Borda was him flying off, and I saw his headlights spinning around like a siren on a cop car. Well, let's see exactly if he got tipped or what exactly went down. Oh, well, it looks like he started to spin, and then maybe another car finished the job, turning him completely around. Let's check from above. It's a little bit too late to really make an assessment. Whatever the case, he hit the Armco very, very hard. There's Thacker once again at the start of this replay. Recovering. This should give us a better idea. Up and around hairpin. There's a car going slow. Yeah, that looks like a little bit of curb, and he did indeed get turned the rest of the way around. So as we come back live, looks like Flores losing out a little bit. About a second back now from Modoff. We got a battle going on back for 9th place, though. That's Sebastian Maciata trying to get by James LeBlanc, and LeBlanc holds him off as they hit turn 3. Finally gets ahead of him. That was 2 corners that they were side by side. They held it through turn 1. Both trying to duel it out, but the 007 finds the upper hand.
Yeah, James LeBlanc having a real good run early on here tonight at Sebring. Usually we see him in the mid-pack, but it's really nice to see him up towards the top 10 as he's holding off Sebastian Maciata through the hairpin corner. He gets right on the back bumper of James now as they come out of the hairpin corner, making their way through Fangio. Just really great racing between these two as he tries to take a peek to the inside. Now just follows suit, get to the slipstream as best he can as they make the run down to Cunningham. Not any opportunity to pass right now at the moment, but we see Sebastian is searching to try to find a way to get past James LeBlanc.
LeBlanc covers him off down into tower. A lot of curb to the inside, but he somehow finds the throttle. Sebastian still threatening as James LeBlanc holds the inside line. Coming through Bishop. And without much braking down to Jean d'Ambienne, Sebastian backs out of it, but way too deep into the corner. James LeBlanc finds himself losing tenths once again off the apex, coming through Le Mans. Now he's right on top of him. Sebastian Maciera ducks to the inside. He's got to nose him, but it's going to be a game of chicken into Sunset Bend. Who dares to go later in on the brakes into this fast corner? It looks like it's going to be Maciera. Can he hold the car, though? Over the bumps, and I think he's got it.
Yeah, he's made a really good pass. James LeBlanc tries to respond, but still not close enough right now. Coming down the front straightaway, this is also going to bring in Takeshi Kita as well as along with Michael Derby. Those two cars are closing in along with a train of other vehicles down into turn one they go. Sebastian leads this group of cars right down as they make the run to turn 2.
Yep, this train just got a little bit bigger. We wondered if Kita could do better on his 19th place qualifying. He's in 11th right now. This is the Kita we're used to seeing in the past. Now, he's got to hold it together for the rest of the race, though. We've still got more than 30 minutes on the clock to dispense with. We're right on board with Derby. Behind him, there was a pass attempt by Jerome Bertome, and that went all kinds of wrong as he goes off track through the hairpin. Take a look at the replay on this. I think it might have been a defense and not an attack from Jerome. Yeah, it looks like he was ahead already. And this is Aaron Thacker working on him. Being forced to the outside, but the number 17 loses it under braking, has to collect it back together, and you can see Thacker in his HJ Motorsports car manages to get through. Oh, and our leader has changed. Did Modov make a mistake? Because Flores is ahead. Let's take a look at the replay. I think this was a while ago. Actually, it was a long time ago, and it was in the hairpin. So this is Flores we're looking at. It was Karl Modov who made the mistake. There you see him on the side of the road. If we could back up about 15 seconds.
Looks like he might have missed the braking and got the car a little bit loose through that hairpin. Yep, there it goes right there.
Wow.
Uncharacteristic for a mistake to see from Karl Modov. And now he's got to be in a battle with Christian Eisler. Looks like it broke up just a little bit. Now he's pulled away, but he is closing back to the back bumper of Jorge Flores. It was over 2 seconds. Now it's just now under a second.
Well, like Daft Punk, he's human after all. Karl Modov makes probably the first error we've seen. Michael Derby, in the meantime, who was fighting in the top 10, finds himself off track and joined by, who is that? Elijah Bautista. This looks like on its way into Big Bend. And he had a little bit of damage, but it looks like this one's all on him, Taylor. I think he just understeers off like we saw Thacker do.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. Goes off into the grass and just loses it through that corner, and then boom, into the tire barriers. And then a few seconds later, we would see Baptista also. I don't think he made any contact, but that is not what Michael Derby has. As we see, he has no hood on the car, so it's going to be a little difficult.
Back up to Kita, now trying to chase down James LeBlanc, but he's got to worry about Aaron Thacker. Remember, Thacker's slightly out of position here. Probably wants by these two pretty quickly. They're all going to hit the Ullman straight here in a moment, and Thacker is looking very strong now. He's on top of Kita as we ride on board with the Texas driver, but Kita has more speed down the straightaway. He's gaining on James LeBlanc as they come to the entry into Sunset Bend. He's got his nose to the inside. They're side by side. Can they hold it together? James LeBlanc making him work for it. He carries the momentum. It's going to switch back in his favor as they come down the front stretch and head towards the left-hander of turn 1. James LeBlanc doing everything he can to hold off the number 30. And as they get around the first corner, Takita settles back into 11th position, ducks down to the inside, coming to turn 3, tries to get his nose in there, but can't quite get it slowed out in time. And it looks like he'll have to regroup and try again. Now, we had a car coming out of the pits in front of them. That was Fernando Borda. He's a lap down, so he's not involved in this. And another go from Takeshi Kita as James LeBlanc covers off the inside, down into the hairpin. Takeshi just a little bit hot into the corner, tries to gun it. They almost make contact coming through the little S's that lead out of that hairpin. They're still side by side. Thacker, wanting to get out of this mess, tries to look and make it 3 wide, but decides not to. Favor of the racing line goes to James LeBlanc, but it switches back into Collier, and finally Takeshi Kita's got it done.
We go back on board with Thacker watching this battle. Get you a front row seat of this going on in front of him. He gets right on the back bumper of James LeBlanc. He's going to see this. He's going to take a peek down to the inside, and he's going to follow suit still. LeBlanc trying to get by Kita, but still Kita is able to hold off James LeBlanc.
Applying immense amounts of pressure. And Thacker's got to be careful with his problems he's already had earlier in this race that set him back. Looks like whatever Kita's done, he is incredibly fast down the straightaways because he is just streaking away from James LeBlanc now that he has gotten by. They're going past the lap car Border, who's on the outside, but LeBlanc loses grip. Coming on his way into Sunset Bend, James LeBlanc unfortunately loses 2 positions in 1 lap as Thacker manages to get by. But now it looks like James is going to come back at him, tries to outbrake him into the first corner. Over under attempt possibly. No, there's that orange car down at the apex. Thacker carries his speed. He takes it to the outside of turn 3. Somehow LeBlanc gets the car woed up as he slides it into that left-hander. Let's go. Yeah, on board for a replay.
That was very scary for a driver. I mean, sliding that car into turn 3 is difficult. Let's watch the replay right now as it comes up. There we see him go in, on board with him. There's the car just sliding through there and still keeps it out of the grass and keeps Thacker right behind him.
The way that Thacker seemed to brake so much earlier, I thought for sure James LeBlanc was heading off to the tires. Great on him for keeping that car together and not losing the spot. He's still in 11th place, but it seems like he's starting to make more mistakes. He's on his way into Collier. He slides wide once again. Thacker knows it. He goes on the attack down towards Tower. Tries to outbrake him once again, but it's James LeBlanc just so much better on the binders.
Yes, he is, but he's got to be careful on corner exit. He's been washing up a little bit further into the grass and gravel over those curbings. One small mistake like that could send his car spinning out like we've seen a couple of other drivers early on in the race, so he's got to be careful. As we see Thacker go a little bit over the curbings now. Got to see if he doesn't get a time penalty.
He does. Yeah, he slows it up, and that gives Munoz that position. So all that hard work, and poor Aaron Thacker didn't get a single position out of it. In fact, he lost one. Going back up to the front, 4th place in a nice little battle. This is Avital in the number 23, Peterson in the number 913. Avital racing in the Ferrari, Peterson in the Porsche.
Avital's been doing real good these past couple of races, running inside the top 6, top 7 for multiple races, and having a good run in the 4th position. Leif Peterson, always very consistent, running very strong here tonight at Sebring. They managed to lose that gap that they had to Christian Eisler a little bit early on now, so it's just now these two. It is still Avital leading by about 0.6 of a second over Leif Peterson for that battle for 4th position.
You know, Avital's another one who I feel has been somewhat quiet this race and just in general recently, but running well. Meanwhile, we had a big problem with Corey Clark into turn 1. We've got the replay. You're going to see the wall get very, very close to the camera. Oh, we jumped off, so yep, just noses it in, and thankfully there were no other cars coming at that moment, so he was able to get out of the way, but certainly sent him backwards. He's now in 18th.
Unfortunate night for Corey Clark. He was trying his best, but just had a little bit of a slide into that turn 1 barrier wall, and now he's trying to coast it back to pit road. As Danny Duchesne decides to come down pit road. We're right around that pit road time limit for these drivers to come in, some of those who are in the back of the field. Danny Duchesne, the Canadian driver on pit road in his Ford GT. A little bit long by the looks of it.
Yep. And yeah, I think that's a little longer than usual. So as we come back to the battle with LeBlanc and Thacker once again, this time Thacker goes the long way around into Sunset Bend, and LeBlanc finds the wall. After all that hard work and that great defense, he pancakes the right side on the entry. I've always found the braking for this corner just frightening no matter what car I'm in.
And it's so difficult to hold the car through that corner because you see the car's just bouncing throughout the entire part of the corner of Sunset Bend. Just one big bump can send you into any one of those walls.
Well, it certainly sent him in, and he's now down to 14th. He only lost one spot to Galaz other than Thacker also getting through, which actually didn't Munoz manage to get by? I think Munoz had gotten by LeBlanc when we weren't looking, because he's still ahead of Thacker.
He was able to get by James LeBlanc as he gets a little bit of loose right there. This is going to give Thacker the opportunity to go now to the inside as they make the run down towards Cunningham. Side by side they go. He got the inside line, but this will also give Munoz the inside line when they get down. So who's going to be? It's still going to be Munoz holding on at the moment. Great effort for Munoz to be a little defensive and hold off Thacker even with that small mistake. But Thacker's back on the attack as they make the run to Tower. Side, nope, still going to be nose to tail, but I think maybe he might try to stick a nose in there and almost a little bit of contact. And we are riding on board between these two. Thacker, Munoz side by side.
Bad exit out of Tower did it. If Thacker can get it slowed up into Jean Dembien, and he does, he finally gets the pass done. Munoz was trying to hold the tide back, but it was not to be. Thacker now up to P11 after all of that. And that is finally where he started this race. He's only broke even now, and he's lost a whole 6, almost 5.5 seconds to Takeshi Kita up ahead of him.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do, Mr. Consistency, to get back into the top 10. Let's keep an eye on him as he's coming in the pit. So maybe a little bit of strategy, maybe try to see if he can leapfrog the competition when they start coming down pit road.
We might want to go up to the leaders because Modov has finally run down Flores. Now, it's one thing to catch a driver, it's another to pass them. Modov clearly has the speed, but it is very, very dark out here, Taylor, so I wonder if he's going to be able to do this.
Yeah, I was watching a little bit of practice here before the race started, and just seeing the difficulty of the visibility of this track, and also trying to pay attention to the car in front of you. If that car brakes even a little bit early, you have to be so careful and so focused on making sure that you don't run into the back of them here at this track, because it is just, unlike Daytona, there is hardly any lights except on the front straightaway.
Dude, we just stay right behind him, not getting too close to that Ferrari for now. It's certainly applying a little bit of pressure. We're going to ride on board with our points championship leader. Modov sending it into Sunset Bend, following the Ferrari around the corner through the bumps. Neither of them electing to pit quite this time, as we're just past halfway now.
Yeah, we're probably seeing them with about 15 minutes to spare on the clock, that we might see these drivers come into pit road. Right now, still, it is Jerome that is currently the highest pitter right now, as he's currently in the 15th position. Thacker is right behind him in 16th, so we'll have to keep an eye on seeing how those drivers work their way up through the field.
Still following right behind him, even their way through the technical portions of 3, 4, and 5 through Big Bend now. This could be a place where he could potentially have a go, and he thinks about it, sticking his nose down to the inside. And Taylor, I think that is a psychological advantage that he's got an edge on here. Is the distances between the cars a lot harder to tell here in the dark with the headlights.
Yes, indeed, and especially I haven't seen any headlight flashing going on between any of the drivers here during this race, but if a driver flashes a headlight, that can be very distracting to the one that is leading this group of cars. So you got to be so careful and just remain focused, but also keep an eye on where those headlights are placed to determine whether or not he's going to be passing on the inside or looking to the outside. So got to be a little bit careful on watching both what's going on in front of you as well as what's going on behind you.
Right there on the diffuser of Jorge Flores. Again, if you haven't been watching this season, all 3 of the first rounds were won by the car you see on your screen right there, Karl Modoff in that green and white Porsche. Jorge Flores, who I believe has yet to take a win in this series, is trying to be the first to be able to dethrone Karl, who has been on a tear ever since he lost the championship last season. And Karl's going to elect to pit. Ooh. We've seen some trickery with strategy here, Taylor.
It's a very good possibility of what we could be seeing right now as Karl Modoff is coming down pit road. As Flores continues, as we also going to see who else is going to make that jump down to pit road. It looks like Eisler and Avital and Peterson are going to stay out. But this could be a very interesting strategy call for Modoff. He's still on pit road now. He's trying to get everything finalized and finished up. Still waiting for him to come down. It looks like another car as well is coming down pit road. Looks like Jean-Marc Tremblay.
Yeah. And that Tremblay heading his way down and looking for his stall. Takeshi Kita also coming in. So that dumps Modoff out into 8th. Now, what is he like in traffic, though? Looks like a little ways up to Sebastian Maciera. About 4 seconds ahead. And then they've got another 6 seconds up to Lee Lucas. This is actually very good for Karl Modoff. He found himself a nice little gap, and even when he does run into cars, it's not going to be a bunch of them all together.
No, it's almost going to be like picking one off at a time until they decide to come down pit road. So we're going to have to really keep an eye on seeing if Jorge is able to keep the lead coming back on the track, as we see Karl Modoff now closing in to 7th position. But as we look right now to Jorge Flores, we're going to see what he does, if he's going to come down pit road or not. I believe he's on the Ullman Straight right now.
Yep, he's heading towards Sunset Bend. That Ferrari, is it going to come in this time? Or is he not going to respond to Karl Modoff? Up and around the bumpy right-hander. And he does indeed come in. Jorge Flores responds, not willing to give the advantage to Karl Modoff. But is he fast enough, though, to keep him back? Christian Eisler going to follow him in. Simon Avital, Leif Peterson. So pretty much our top 4 all coming in on the same lap. I wonder if this is the extent of their fuel cell.
This looks like it, because we see Tyler Dzube, Lee Lucas coming in. Here comes Karl Modoff. He's coming through Sunset Bend, so I think he will end up inheriting the lead now. Here we go. We're watching Jorge Flores. He's off. Let's see. This is going to be close.
Trying to get speed up. And as he comes out of the pits, they're going to be side by side. It's going to be a drag race down to turn 3. The inside of the corner, though, is going to go to Karl Modoff. Can he get the pass done? His tires are already warmed up, but he outbrakes himself. Off into the grass he goes. First place goes back to Jorge Flores. It was a valiant effort, but it's not to be this time.
Patience was key in that pass right there for Jorge. He knew probably Karl Modoff might try to outbrake him going into that corner, and it looked like he did. So Jorge just backed off a little bit, waited for that opportunity for the mistake, and capitalized on it.
Let's get a replay of the basically coming up to the pit exit from onboard Karl Modoff here. This will be fascinating to watch. Just like just getting the end of it. Flores. Just watching him zip on by. Just clattering over the curbs. Unfortunately, losing first place. So, after all that, and after what I thought was going to be a brilliant move on the part of Karl, another mistake, 2 mistakes, and significant ones in one race.
Well, we do got to remember, though, that last week when we were talking to him, he said this was not one of his strongest tracks. So, by the looks of it, even with these small mistakes, they're not major, but it could possibly cost him the win here tonight at Sebring, Joe.
We finally found a bogey track with Carl Modoff. So, as we go back to the battle for fourth, Leif Peterson and Simon Avatal have been fighting much of this race, but I don't believe we've seen them get close enough that Avatal's really gone on the attack.
You got to remember, Avatal was the one who was leading these two earlier before the pit stops. So now Avatal has to give chase to Leif Peterson now as they're going into turn 1.
Credit to Leif Peterson. Ever since we've seen him show up here on the Global SimRacing Channel, I feel like we've watched him gather more and more speed and continue to be a big presence in a couple of series here. So as the Canadian chases him, he's going to have to do some hard work to try and dispose of him. All the pit stops are now done with these 12 minutes left to go. Jorge Flores leads, Carl Modoff leads, Christian Eisler, who's almost 8 seconds back from Modoff, leads Peterson in fourth, and Avatal, who is now making an attempt side by side. He's going to have to go the long way around in Cunningham. Modoff manages to outbrake him, and I think he's going to be able to fend him off for now. Peterson, excuse me. I don't know why I keep mentioning Modoff every time I talk about a battle.
Well, they do drive Porsches.
This is true. There's an attempt from Simon Avatal. He regroups. He tries to see if another opportunity might come later.
Battle for P10's kicking up a little bit. Takeshi Kita holding on, but he's got Jerome right behind him, about 5/10 and closing, as they're doing right now. Takeshi Kita doing a great job. Aaron Thacker's trying to close the deal. He was one of those pitters who pitted early. He's about a second back, so he's kind of just been stationary to where he was. Now it's up to 5 seconds now. But right now, Jerome is trying the best he can to close that gap on Takeshi Kita, but Kita doing a strong effort to keep him right behind as they're getting ready to head down through Le Mans Corner.
On their way out onto the Ullman Straight, Takita once again looking very strong in a straight line, not giving an opportunity for Jerome Baton. I wonder, did Aaron Thacker? No, Aaron did not have a long stop. He just may have, after he got past Munoz, I guess he lost track of. Oh, and actually, he just got passed by Munoz just now. What happened to Thacker? Let's take a look at the replay. I think he was just forced into an error. He tried to go defensive, and Munoz took him all the way to the inside by the time they hit the braking zone. Unfortunately, it was too late to get back to the racing line. There you see Thacker just run wide, trying to gather the car.
Yeah, now Aaron's got a lot of pressure going on for him right now. He's got Hugo Galaz and Cristobal Valenzuela right behind him. This is the battle for P13. He's trying to catch up to Rodrigo Munoz, but he also has to worry about Galaz Valenzuela as well. As he goes a little bit into the dirt right there and makes the run down towards the hairpin chicane. He's going to have to do a lot of work now as he tries to get to the back bumper of Munoz, though, Joe, and it's going to be difficult, especially with two other drivers such as Galaz and Valenzuela.
So we come back to the top two. Carl Modoff has gotten to the back of Flores yet again, and they are coming into Sunset Bend. Not going to try and make an attempt this time, but the number 48 will get another stab, possibly at the end of the front stretch. They're both even coming off of Sunset Bend, so don't think you're going to see one from Carl Modoff into the first corner. He waits patiently behind the number 929. 9 minutes is how long Flores has got to hold on to this. He got a podium last round at Watkins Glen. It was his first podium of this season. Can he do two better and stand on the top step? They have nobody behind them. Christian Eisler continues to fall off to nearly 10 seconds now. So it is all down to them fighting this one out amongst each other.
Last time, right on board with Moda. The last time we saw Jorge Flores be this dominant was over at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park a couple of seasons ago. We're having a dominant race there until lap traffic cost him the win. But he is making the excellent recovery and welcome back to the series now. Joe, I mean, he's just been really good, and this could be the driver we may see to take the fight to Carl Motives.
Certainly seems like it. As we switch back to fourth once again, Peterson still leads Avital. He's been trying, but can't quite find an opportunity that sticks. They work their way towards Bishop now, towards Jean Dembien around these two apexes, into the S's, swinging right, very fast corners, swinging left through the dark, and then into Le Mans, onto the long, dark backstretch of the Ullman Straight. And Modoff was very, very close to Flores coming into Sunset Bend. I think he managed to get him to go defensive. This could set him up for another try. And indeed, it looks like Jorge is going to stay down to the inside, force him the long way around. Karl Modoff deep on the brakes. Cars working their way over the bumps. A power move the long way around. Karl Modoff back to the lead.
What a pass indeed here. Karl Modoff back to the lead. Jorge Flores, though, not giving up just yet, though. He's going to try to get back onto the back bumper through turns 2 and 3. Right now coming out as they make the run down towards the gurney bend and the hairpin. Modoff still pulling away a little bit right now as Jorge Flores knows time is running out. He needs to get to the back bumper. He might try to take a peek before they get to the hairpin corner. Oh, right on the back bumper. And I think he might overshot it. Nope, he was able to.
Yeah, he made it through, but he certainly lost himself a couple tenths, and that could be critical when you're trying to fight someone as dominant as Karl Modoff has been. Well, I think Modoff redeemed himself of his 2 mistakes there with that impressive overtake we just saw coming around the first corner with a mere 7 minutes to go. And I think that is all she wrote, because already Flores is starting to drop off as we head back to fourth place. Leif Peterson still ahead of Avital, but Avital has it down now to 0.4 of a second.
And if you notice, right up over in the screen up ahead of us, there is Christian Eisler. There he goes, just right by. They're closing in a little bit on him. There was about 3 or 4 seconds. Now it's down to about 2.5 seconds between those drivers. So 5 minutes left. If Peterson maybe puts the power down a little bit right now, they could catch up to the back bumper of Christian Eisler.
Down the back stretch towards Sunset Bend. If they start fighting, though, that will certainly allow Eisler to pull away. Eisler's managed to get 2 podiums so far. In fact, the only 2 drivers that have 2 or more podiums this season are Modoff, of course, and Eisler. Modoff having won all 3 of the races we've had. As they come through the first corner, them trying to carry as much speed as possible. Avital just can't quite seem to get close enough.
No, he's trying the best that he can, trying to find a place to put the car to make the pass, or see if Peterson makes a mistake here. They're coming down through the gurney bend towards the hairpin. It is still going to be side by or no tail. Yeah, he's right there. He might take a peek into the hairpin. Let's see what happens. Nope, going to follow suit right now. Not going to put too much pressure onto the back bumper. But he is right there, and Avital really wanting to get back by Leif Peterson to get back into 4th position.
Boy, the incredible pace of our 2 leaders, just to give you an idea. And this is with those 2 errors from Modoff. It's 11 seconds from Modoff back to Eisler right now. So that is a pretty big gap, I'd say, especially with this field. We're used to seeing maybe 5, 6, 7 second gaps. 3 seconds is what it was last time at Watkins Glen between Eisler and Modoff. Ride just on the dash of Simon Avital. He's getting so close getting that gap down to just about a car length. Both of them going wide, but Peterson more so. And that one hurts because Avital has it on a silver platter and slips through.
Excellent choice to make that pass when Peterson made the mistake. He ducks to the inside, gets by Peterson, move him back into P4, and he now has his sights set to see if he can catch up to Christian Eisler.
He had to wait and wait for that one to work, but eventually it did. And poor Peterson only has 3 minutes to try and retake the spot. Not a whole lot of time to respond as we go back to 12th now. Bertom, Munoz, and Valenzuela all close together.
Yeah, looking at him right now, it looks like Jerome lost a little bit of that pace to Aaron Thacker. He was able to get by both him and Munoz, so now these three are going to battle it out with Cristobal Valenzuela closing in right behind these two. Rodrigo Munoz having a great run here tonight, running inside the top 15. Jerome trying to hold off Rodrigo. Through the Sunset Bend they go, under 3 minutes to go. He's going to try to take a peek right there off of Sunset Bend, but it's going to have to follow in place. He'll be right on board with Jerome. Through the back spoiler of the car, we see Rodrigo trying to close in, going into turn 1, onto the braking, not able to get any closer right now. We're going to have to wait and see what he can do going into turns 2 and 3.
Valenzuela watching from the popcorn position, seeing if they start fighting and offer him an opportunity to take 2 for 1. And we got a little bit of a battle between Lucas and Maciera. Haven't talked about Lucas at all this race. Maciera applying lots of pressure through Collier now. Is Lucas going to stay defensive into Tower? Not quite, but Maciera also doesn't go on the attack. The back wing of Lucas is good on the straights. I almost wonder if that's just what it says, and he's just trying to psych everybody out.
I don't know, but that's kind of a little bit humorous thing to maybe even distract the driver in front of him, because they might be trying to worry like, what in the world is that? But still, right now we see Sebastian get to the outside. Side by side they go. Lead Lucas going still the defensive route toward the run down Ullman Straight into Sunset Bend. Let's see who will break first. Who will be the bravest between the two? And I think both of them did quite well. Lead Lucas, though, able to hold on to the position. Sebastian has to now do it all over again and try to catch back up, as right in front of them we see Jean-Marc Tremblay and Tyler Dezube, and we see side by side Lucas and Maciera still side by, almost a little bit of contact right there into turn 1. Sebastian now takes the position away from Lee Lucas.
Brave stuff from Maciera. But up at the front of all of this, white flag has flown for Carl Modoff. He leads by about a second over Jorge Flores. Credit to the 929. He's not given up, even though he has dropped off slightly. He's making sure the 48 has to work for this all the way to the checkers. But I think we might be getting ready to see a 4 for 4 for the Club West driver. It seemed for a moment that maybe someone would be able to peel the checkered flag away from him. But it's not going to be today. On to the Ullman Straights. Flores tries desperately to carry as much speed as he can. He's just not nearly close enough. If there's a mistake from Modoff in Sunset Bend, he could yet still give it away. Let's see if he's clean through the final corner. Car navigating through and off of there. He is spick and span. Carl Modoff is going to take the win here in round 4. Jorge Flores follows him home in second. Christian Eisler just in front of the battle between Avital and Peterson. Avital ahead, Peterson giving chase, but I think Simon is going to manage to get 4th. Eisler did finish out the podium. And a little bit farther down, 7th place, Sebastian Maciera, who just recently overtook Lee Lucas, manages to get himself a gap of about a second. What a good late race pass he had.
Don't forget that battle for P10 coming on right now. This is between Jerome Biffon.
Oh! Jerome into the wall with 2 corners to go effectively. And the battle is still on between Valenzuela and Munoz side by side. It's a drag race to Sunset Bend. They come together. They bang doors. Valenzuela appears to have the advantage for now as they come off the corner. Can the run go back to Rodrigo Munoz? He's got momentum as they come to the line, but it's not enough. And it looks like Valenzuela is going to be able to take that 11th spot. Wow.
Very impressive for what Rodrigo Munoz and Cristobal Valenzuela were doing coming out of Sunset Bend. Great effort for Cristobal to get past Rodrigo.
Let's look at Jerome's incident. We've only got Karsten Quint left to finish. He's not battling with anybody, so we're not missing anything. Just, let's see, this is coming out of Tower, it looks like. The incident happens just out of Le Mans. And I feel like this was all on Jerome. I don't think anybody touched him.
Think so either. I think he might have just went a little bit too wide through that corner into the grass and just lost it. It's very easy to do that through this corner. I know countless of many a times I've seen it. Yep, there he goes into the grass, and then there his car goes around into the tire barriers.
As we come back live, that's going to end our race. We're going to take a quick break here, but the broadcast is not over. We've got, of course, the unofficial results, as well as driver interviews, and on screen, you'll see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway. We just watched round 4 here in the Precision Racing League's American iRacing Tuesday series, and still no one is able to beat Carl Modoff with his incredible speed. Even when he makes mistakes, he takes the win. But look, it was a lot closer this time for Jorge Flores, only 7/10 back. Flores tried valiantly to keep him behind, but just could not withstand the pressure. Christian Eisler manages to get 3rd place yet again, with Simon Avital coming home in 4th, beating out Leif Peterson, who he had to fight for that place. But Peterson, I think, deserves some credit. He gets a top 5 once again. Tyler DeZube, one of the more quiet races, and another one who deserves some credit here. Look at this. Qualified in 13th and finished in 6th. That is a good jump. Jean-Marc Tremblay follows him home in P7. Sebastian Maciera will take 8th ahead of Lee Lucas in 9th. And Takashi Kita, I would say this is his best finish we've ever seen him take. Top 10 for the number 30 car here. Taylor?
Yes, indeed. But finishing in 11th place, Cristobal Valenzuela, followed by Rodrigo Munoz in 12th. Hugo Galaz will finish in the 13th position, followed by Jerome Berfiome in 14th. Aaron Thacker, Mr. Consistency, not consistent tonight, coming home in the 15th position, followed by Karsten Quint in 16th. 17th goes to Danny Duchesne, followed by Joey Trungale in 18th. Fernando Borda will come home in 19th position, and Corey Clark will round out your top 20.
21st goes to, unfortunately, James LeBlond, who had a DNF out there today. Elijah Bautista takes 22nd. Michael Derby will be P23 with Thomas Ellison 24th. The only Montini that showed up today, unfortunately, Francisco winds up in P25, and then Mike Griffith, for all the praise that we heaped on him, I guess the commentator's curse carried over, and he unfortunately comes home 26th. Jeff Jacobson and Luis Morga, I believe, were a did not start out there today. And after all that, we have our winner ready to talk to us again. Carl Modoff joins us in the booth. Carl, you said this track doesn't hold good memories for you, and, well, it almost didn't hold good memories again. Tell us about the two errors that you saw.
Oh, yeah, that was stressful. But, yeah, I just kept braking a little too early for turn one, so my turn-in was off, and I kept, having to kind of correct mid-corner, so I was like, okay, I'm going to go a little deeper, and went in a little too deep, and I locked the rears up and spun. And then I was like, okay, I got a long race, so let me just calm back down. And Jorge drove really good. He didn't make any mistakes. And coming out of the pits was, I didn't know if I'd be able to get by him because it's really hard to pass. And I just kind of went for it down the inside. And I think he went in pretty deep too. So I was kind of judging him from my brake marker and just went in way too deep. So, but yeah, that was definitely the most fun I've had so far this season. That was awesome. That was a really good race.
We did notice that you tried to, or at least you seemed to try to pit a lap earlier. Was that intentional? Were you trying to use a little bit of strategy to get by him there?
Yeah, I didn't know. Like I said, I wasn't sure. It's the Ferrari's pretty fast in a straight line normally, and there's not really a good out-braking place at this track. So I thought my best chance to get around him without really pushing it was probably in the pits. And I had just caught up to him, and I had a good feeling with the car. So I thought that would be the best shot. And it was awfully close, but his outlap was really fast too. Like, as soon as I got behind him, he pulled me 3/10. So his car was really good on kind of older, colder tires there.
Well, unfortunately, we didn't have Corey Ott here today, so we didn't really get to feel how he would have played into things. But now we've seen both Corey have good pace on you at some of these races, and now Jorge Flores seems to have been able to be a challenge. Between the two of them, who would you consider your stronger rival?
I don't know. That's tough to say because I haven't had a ton of experience wheel-to-wheel racing with each one. But Jorge drove really good with no mistakes. So, going forward, I know Corey says he's going to miss a few races. So I feel like Jorge will probably going to be more of the direct rival.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out on that. You've gone 4 for 4. Congratulations on yet another win this season.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for announcing. Appreciate it.
No problem. That was our winner today, Carl Modoff. Taylor is going to be talking to our 4th place finisher, Simon Avital.
Hey guys, how we doing?
Doing all right, Simon, and welcome on here. We like to say congratulations on your 4th place finish. Tell us a little bit about that and your battle with Leif Peterson here tonight.
I'm sweating. That was intense. Really, really fun race with Leif. He got me in the pits. I think I put in a little bit too much fuel. I ended up with about 4 liters or 3.5 liters extra. So, yeah, just he was right on my tail that entire time. I obviously got lucky on passing him. I think he just made a little mistake. Yeah, intense.
Yeah, it was quite intense. I was quite a battle that between you two. It shows that here recently, these past few races, you've been running quite well in these top 5, top 6 positions here. Tell us, is that going to be able to help you maybe to work your way up into the point standings, maybe even closing in for maybe a podium finish here if you're able to take the fight to Eisler at least?
That's definitely the hope. I mean, I entered this league with sort of best case scenario being somewhere in the top 10. So things are going pretty good so far. And more than anything, it's just been an absolute blast, really above and beyond just, obviously just regular official races can be pretty fun. I love those too, but this is that extra bit. So really that's what I'm after and seeing sort of, where I can land by the end of the season. I don't have too many expectations, but really fun finish, really good race after a really disappointing one last week, in which I spun out lap 1 at Watkins there. So fun little redemption race. Hopefully it can continue.
Yes, indeed. And looking forward to seeing you continue on through the rest of the season with only just about halfway through the season to go. So what track are you most looking forward to on the schedule?
You got me on the spot. I actually, I'm not sure which is left. All I know is that I think Daytona is coming up, and after 8 hours or 8.5 hours in the car on Saturday, that one I'm not so much looking forward to. But everything other, I love all the tracks that are on the schedule. So not any huge.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you at the next round. Again, congratulations with your 4th place finish here at Sebring.
Thanks, guys. Be good.
That was Simon Navatal. And Joe, you caught up to the driver he was battling with all night, Leif Peterson.
Absolutely. A 5th place finish for him. First of all, are we saying it right? Is it Leif or is it Leif?
Leif in America.
Leif. Gotcha. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. So you and Simon fighting hard all the way to the end, but he somehow managed to squeak by. Did you think you could hold him off for the rest of it? Were you a little surprised that he managed to get it?
Well, I had his draft the whole first stint, so when I beat him out of the pits, I knew I was going to have to push a little harder and get out of my comfort zone to stay ahead of him. We were pretty much well matched on pace, and I made a mistake coming out of the penultimate corner, and I didn't want to try to stay on it and take us both out. So, I just lifted and he got by, and I thought I'd have another chance, and I just couldn't get up to him close enough to make the pass in Sunset.
Now,
but he had an awesome race.
Oh, you gave us an awesome show. The Porsche is sometimes known for what's called pogoing with the front end of the car, and this being an incredibly bumpy track. Was that something you had to fight hard with on the setup, or was it pretty easy to get it smoothed out?
No, I've driven this track quite a bit in iRacing and somewhat at night in the real world in Porsches, so I'm kind of used to it, I guess.
Consider me jealous then. Next round going to Daytona. It is going to be at the road course. I assume you've had plenty of experience now between the Autobahn series. Autobahn didn't go there this weekend. It was somewhere else. Anyways, between the 24 hours of Daytona, obviously.
Right. I ran with Ulmer at the 24, then I ran with Pack Majors Sunday, and then Autobahn last night. So you guys are probably seeing me for the most ever tonight. But yeah, I'm kind of sick of Daytona, but I like it, and I do pretty well there, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, again, a wonderful show that you gave us out there. Is a great battle with Simon. Hopefully you'll be able to take it back to him at Daytona, and congratulations on a top 5.
All right, just want to say hi to my girlfriend, Renata, real quick. Thank you very much. Have a great night, guys.
You as well. That was Leif Peterson, and that's going to close things up for us. And before we go, we, of course, want to thank the sponsor of this series one more time, the Simulation Motorsports Association. That is SIMMSA. You can find them at SIMMSA.net if you want to check them out and see if they can help you with your sim racing. We also want to thank iRacing for bringing us on to the iRacing eSports network this season. This has been a good one, despite the fact that Modoff has won all 4 of the rounds so far. They've been exciting races, at least from my perspective. Make sure and subscribe to them so that you can catch more here on IESN. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Taylor, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. As we mentioned, staying here in Florida for the next round, that'll be at Daytona, Tuesday, January 29th at 9 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.